The Virgo solar eclipse is the universe telling you to let go of what you thought your life was going to be in order to embrace what it is. Ooh, that could be a punch to the gut, but it can also be freeing. And that would be my encouragement this week, is to feel the freedom, the lightness that can come from letting go and from surrender. We are really in this cosmic freefall with North Node in Pisces, and there might be certain humbling acknowledgments with this solar eclipse on the South Node, which is in Virgo, around I might have worked hard for this, I might have planned it to be just so, I might have thought this is what I wanted, but it was not meant to be. And it's going to be important not to make that a thing within yourself, not to feel like it's something wrong or bad about you, not to be critical of yourself or to get into this energy of, if I only tried harder, if I only did this, if I was only better than this and that. You cannot think your way towards anything that is not universally for you. And believe me, you do not want anything, no matter how much you may think that you do. You do not want what in this existence is not for you. You might get it and realize this is not what I wanted at all. Or you might get it and find this has derailed me so far from my own soul's path that it has brought even more chaos and confusion into my world. Or you may feel like you are hiking dehydrated in the desert, moving towards this mirage of a drinking fountain just to find it's perpetually out of reach no matter how much you do. You cannot do your way towards your calling, towards your purpose, even though South Node Virgo and us being in Virgo season, Venus entering Virgo this week, so wants us to be able to do the things to get what it is that we desire, or do the things in order to fix the problem. Some things are out of our reach. Some things are not meant to be. And that is the surrender of North Node Pisces around universe. You know my heart, you know my soul, you know my path, you know my purpose. Align me to what is truly meant for me and give me the grace to let go of what is not meant for me. Clinging to what is departing your reality is the best way to block the blessings that are flowing in. And this weekend's solar eclipse in Virgo is on the South Node. South Node represents release and shedding. And so even though there is a new beginning, a new start taking shape and form for ourselves and the collective, it is an ending in disguise. It's realizing and recognizing that you are at the end of your rope with something, and having the faith and trust in the universe at large enough to know that when you release this, when you let go, you are moving towards your new chapter with people, places, and things that are 100% for you, that arrive into your world with ease, with flow, with alignment, that allow you to unearth and step more into your gifts and your purpose here. You do not want what is not for you. And how graceful can you be with letting go of what is not spiritually and soulfully ordained? But the recognition of this is quite bittersweet. This weekend's solar eclipse opposes Saturn and Neptune. It could be humbling to recognize that no matter how much work or effort or thought you put into something, it's still out of reach. It could be vulnerable to admit that we are just mere mortals and that we cannot control it all. It could be hard to admit, even to yourself, that this is not what you thought it was going to be. You know, the energy of Neptune brings this energy of illusion and fantasy, and Saturn is harsh wake-up calls. So just around, I thought that this mirage was going to solve it all, but I have to acknowledge the mirage is not there. That's just me being in the desert, dehydrated, and concocting a fantasy of it. Or maybe I got what I thought I wanted, but all I found here is more confusion. It can be humbling to acknowledge that even with the work and the effort that we put in, something is not taking shape and form within our lives. It can be vulnerable to admit that we are mere mortals. There are certain things that are out of our hands. It can be melancholic to admit, even to yourself, that what you thought you wanted, now that it's here, you realize it's not how you thought it was going to be. With the solar eclipse opposite Neptune, the planet of fantasy and illusion, and opposite Saturn, the planet of harsh reality checks, there's this energy around recognizing this is not for me. This is not serving me any longer. This is not how I envisioned it to be. Can I let go and feel the spaciousness, the lightness that comes in when I let go, when I release? You know, Virgo season is all around logistics and math so to speak, things that make sense. A plus B equals C. And so in light of this, I want to share life is not just about the addition, it's about the subtraction. In that we can think more equals better, but sometimes it's the spaciousness, the clarity, the freedom that comes from the release, from the decluttering of the soul, so to speak, with Virgo solar eclipse, with the acknowledgement, my energy is not reaping a reward here. It's time for me to let go. It's time to free up more of my schedule. It's time to free up more of my mind. That can add to your life. And you know it's the right decision when you think about that possibility and you feel perhaps shades of sadness and bitterness, but also this sense of lightness around, ooh, it would be nice to not have to put in all of this effort here, or it would be freeing not to have that taking up space and residence within my mind and within my schedule, even though my mind could want to make it a thing. And again, with Virgo season, tell myself that if I was better at this, then it would have been for me. Or if I had tried harder, it would have worked out. If I was only more perfect, then it would have aligned. It's going to be important not to make things a thing. It just wants it for you. Don't internalize it. Don't make it something around you and that you're bad and that you're wrong and you're not good enough. Sometimes it's just not for you. Sometimes that was not part of your path to go in this particular direction, to have this within your world. And you needn't fear the in-between. You needn't fear the spaciousness. You needn't fear the void. Sometimes we can hold on to things that are not for us or no longer serving us because we are so fearful of the void. And this weekend's new moon, it looks like the moon is vacant from the sky. It looks like nothingness. It looks like a void. But we know through our study of the sky, the moon builds in light. The moon has not been stolen. The moon has not disappeared. The moon is not gone. It's an illusion. So it's also knowing if there is an ending at this time, a letting go, certainly grieve it, feel what is coming up. It's hard to face things as they are and to acknowledge it's not how I thought it was going to be. That's challenging. But what's important for you to plug into is the knowing, the gnosis, that this is part of your next chapter, that you may not be able to see the light building at this particular moment in time, but you have the faith and the trust in the universe at large to know it is leading to your new chapter. And to know that sometimes when we're in that in between, we feel that sensation of spaciousness. We feel that sensation of lightness, where again, our mind can make it a thing. If only I did this, if only I was better here, if only the universe didn't hate me. Again, we can make it a thing, or we could just acknowledge it is what it is, and I trust in what will be. This is a packed week in the cosmos. We are wrapping up Virgo season this week, which tends to be a very busy, busy sign. And this week's sky reflects it. We've got Mercury entering Libra, trining Uranus and Pluto, which is the energy around the slight glimmer of new ideas, new potentials, new starts. Mercury opposes Saturn and Neptune. Again, harsh acknowledgments that things are not how you thought that they were going to be. Venus enters Virgo, which is the sign of its fall, squaring off with Uranus, creating potential romantic surprises, financial shockwaves. We've got the solar eclipse in Virgo, and that is just a small piece of what the universe is cooking up in the cosmos. So we are most certainly going to need a beverage as we navigate this week's astrology. Take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know below what you are sipping on to start your week. I'm drinking true to Virgo season form. I'm drinking one of my juices. I'm going out of town for a couple of weeks, and I need to use up all of the fruits and veggies that are in my fridge. So let me just throw them all into my juicer and hope that it tastes good. But it absolutely does. This is, I believe, carrot, apple, celery, lemon, ginger, a little bit of cucumber. It's delightful. My rituals and routines have been so key for me this Virgo season, just to integrate, just to balance, just to ground. Eclipses can be a bit chaotic. They can be a bit dramatic. Again, some of us reach this acknowledgement something is not serving with a sense of grace around, oh, this doesn't seem to be serving. Let me try a new direction. Let me let this go. And sometimes the universe gets our attention a little bit of a more shocking way to make it very apparent to us that this is not for us and that this particular thing in our life has outlived its purpose. Sometimes the universe talks to us in exclamation points and sometimes the universe talks to us in commas. And Virgo season altogether can be quite nervous. And layer eclipses on top when there's so much happening, it can make us feel very nervous and very out of control, which for me is where my routines and rituals come in. Going out in nature and hiking, making my my juices and meditating. Those of you who watch my channel know how key meditation has been for my mind, body, and soul in just allowing myself to feel grounded amidst all of these changes. Because again, our nervous system and our mind can look at what's happening and feel like everything is wrong and that we are messing up and we are bad, right? That South Node Virgo energy. And to me, meditation is the best way to shift me into North Node Pisces, trusting in the cycles, seeing the bigger picture, looking for the gift and the lesson in every situation, no matter how challenging it may be. And so for my meditation practice, my co-pilot, my ride or die is the app Aura. If you are not familiar with Aura, think of it as the Spotify for sleep and mindfulness. There is a huge library of content on Aura. And why I love it is that you don't have to search and fight for your life in a giant library of content. It really gets to know you via a million of data points in order to serve you the content that resonates for your journey, for your meditation practice. It gets to know you and what you need, which is helpful to take us out of the analysis paralysis of Virgo season, as well as just the executive overwhelm around all of the different decisions we have to make every single day. When I go to my book nook to meditate every single morning, I don't want to have to contemplate what's going to help, what's going to get me into alignment. Aura knows me. It knows me. It knows my journey. When you sign up, you fill out a questionnaire where it really gets to know your goals, your objectives, your preferences. And the more that you interact with the app, the more personalized it gets. And now it gets to a point, I've been using Aura for some time, which most of you know if you watch Magic Monday. And now it gets to a point where I'm like, what in the synchronicity? Like, what are the odds I would get served this particular meditation and on this particular morning when I'm dealing with this particular problem within my life? And this grants me the perfect perspective in order to view it. It's magical. And I think with this Virgo solar eclipse and South Node Virgo, I think a lot of us are craving less stuff. We're wanting to declutter. We're wanting to release. And again, feeling the spaciousness that comes from that. So I also love Aura is that I don't need a million apps on my phone. Aura covers many different arenas: sleep, meditation, CBT, mood, and gratitude logs. It's an all-in-one app that reminds you every time you see it on your phone screen that you are committed to your own emotional, mental, spiritual wellness. That's what it reminds me. And I don't need to clutter my phone with all of these different apps around, oh, I need this one for sleep, and I need this one to track my moods, and I need this one for coaching sessions. Aura has all of that in one convenient place. If eclipse season has been rocking you a bit and you're really looking for a ritual, a routine that will ground you, that will help you integrate some of these shifts, I deeply recommend Aura. You can get started for completely free utilizing my special link that is in the description. The first 500 people who click my link will get a free trial of Aura plus 25% off. Again, Virgo season is a beautiful time to be honed in on our rituals and our routines, and particularly the rituals and routines that help us ground and integrate some of the eclipse season stuff that is coming up for a lot of us. So such a beautiful time to invest in your mind, body, spirit wellness, which Aura has always been my faithful co-pilot within. So thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring this week's episode of Magic Monday. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. Okay, so we are going to take it into Vibe Check of the Week. Just going to light some incense to get the vibes going. Y'all, we can't have Vibe Check of the Week with bad vibes. Okay, we got the incense going. We got the vibes going. Let's all take a deep breath. I feel like that's so essential this Virgo season. Just breathe and know that life is not just about the inhale, it is about the exhale. This is a delicate dance of the welcoming and the letting go, and the adding in and the subtracting. And where is it that we can be grateful for what is coming in and graceful with what is departing? And again, this week's astrology is a bit of an exhale. It is a bit of release. And this week's Vibe Check reflects that. So if you are not familiar with the Vibe Check of the Week or my channel or my cosmic corner of the internet, hi, my name is Haley Comet. Welcome. This is essentially a storytelling device where I take all of the astrology of the week and liken it to a real life scenario. I'm not saying that this exact situation is playing out within your universe, but if you tap into some of the major emotions and dynamics and themes, you may see similar ones surface within your world, within your reality. And this week's astrology feels like closing down a business. And for all of my business owners out there, entrepreneurs out there, I'm not saying that everybody's closing down shop this week, but you may even just see that, like just collectively people deciding that they're not doing this side hustle anymore, people deciding that their storefront, is it worth it anymore? Like people just could be acknowledging, oh, this was a beautiful road. It was a great road, but the time has come. It's time to let this go. And this, of course, could be showing up in various arenas of life. But with the Virgo season, work is an element in which that could be particularly alive, particularly potent. And so to give this week's vibe check some nuance and texture and detail, Virgo season's all around the details. We will say that you are a naturopath. You are a holistic health practitioner, and you have owned your own practice for many years. And it's been something that you've found purpose in for many years. You have given everything to your practice and to your patients. And you mean that. I mean, your life is around your practice. Your life is around your work. This week with Venus and Virgo, it is a beautiful thing to find pleasure in being of service, or to find a love for what it is that you do. Again, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. I do believe there's a lot of wisdom in that. But you are experiencing this unsettling sensation. When our life is transitioning, when we are transforming, sometimes there is this destabilizing energy when you recognize, oh, I used to always revolve my entire world around my practice, and suddenly that is getting even more tiresome to do. Suddenly, I'm feeling myself being pulled in other directions. Suddenly, I'm finding meaning in other arenas of my life. What's going on? And sometimes when we're in between, and again, our mind is clocking this, we will cling even more to what was around. No, this can't not be for me any longer. It's always been for me. And think of your patience and think of your impact. Again, forcing yourself to still be within this era, but you sense and feel that a new era is underway and a new part of your journey is underway. And again, we can see that and be like, oh gosh, I know the naturopath version of me. What's the next version of me going to be? We could feel that with exhilaration and excitement, or we could feel that with anxiety. I think it's so fascinating to know that anxiety and exhilaration are the same bodily sensation. And so if you are feeling nervous or anxious, it could be helpful to see where it is that you can flip it into excitement and exhilaration. So rather than being like, what's going on? What is the next horizon that I feel myself being pulled towards? But to be pulled towards that, I do need to let this go, which can be destabilizing for my ego, even if this is where I've found my sense of purpose and found my calling within, to recognize, if I'm not my practice, who am I? If I'm not a naturopath, who am I? Sometimes that could be the destabilizing part around, I've built my identity around this, and if I don't have this, then who am I? Again, we could fear the letting go and feel the in-between around, I'm nothing if I don't have this. But North Node in Pisces asks you to return back to your soul. You are not defined by what you do. Of course, it's beautiful to find pleasure and enjoyment in what you do, but that is not who you are. And we can judge and criticize and try to control what is happening. But if you feel yourself being pulled in a new direction, you have to surrender to what is, because as you show up, you are, of course, investing a lot of your time and energy, as you always have, to your work. You find that your body is repelling it. Like you're just not as enthused as you used to be. You are not as willing to sacrifice so much of your time and energy. And honestly, there's elements of it that don't always make sense or don't always make dollars. Like because you are so passionate about holistic health, there have been certain disputes with insurance carriers or money that is owed to you. And again, it's like you didn't go into this for the money necessarily, but there is an element around recognizing how much this is taking from you, like your energy, your time, your life. And there's elements where you're wanting to dive into other arenas. You recognize so much of your time was given to this, which is so beautiful to have something that is a labor of love and it served you well. That's what's so important for anyone who is making a decision to walk away from something or to release something or to let something go. Of course, in the final stages of something, sometimes we are bitter. right, around it. But it was not a waste of time. It led you to where it is that you are now. It served you for the season of life that it got you through. It helped so many people. Like, it's important not to feel that side hustle was a waste of time and that relationship was a waste of time, because North Node in Pisces is around stepping out of the situation in order to view the perfection and divinity in everything, no matter how wrong or bad it looks. North Node in Pisces is around, how could I possibly judge what transpired if it got me to where it is that I am currently? And sometimes we have to work the muscle. Saturn opposed to the sun this week. Sometimes we have to work the muscle to see the higher perspective. Even if we don't see it right now, we might feel so enmeshed and ensnared in the harsh reality components around, oh, I wasted this money, or oh, I put so much time towards this, or I put so much effort towards this. We could feel like it was a mistake. We can feel off track. And again, we make it a thing by internalizing it. I'm wrong. I did bad. I should have tried harder. I messed up. I made the wrong mistake. There really are no mistakes in life. Of course, a mistake I would deem as something that hurts somebody else or something that is against your own morals and ethics. But when it comes to stepping into anything with the best of intentions and having a dream and having a vision, there really are no mistakes. There really are no missteps. You learn from everything that you go down. It leads you into the next season of your life. And so it's so important, if you are letting go of something, to not feel like that was a waste of time or a waste of energy, because it got you to where it is that you are currently. And sometimes when we're in the eclipse, we're like, Haley, I don't exactly like where I am currently. So it's hard to be like, well, at least I'm here. There's a future version of you who is so grateful for the messiness that you are navigating, because it's getting you to where it is that you're meant to be, like truly. And that's even in the unfortunate acknowledgement, the bittersweet realizations. There are many things that get us to where it is that we are meant to be. And that might be the muscle of having faith in that, even if it doesn't make sense right now. And so every part of you wants to beat yourself up and internalize just the financial mistakes that you've made. And you've been so burnt out and so client focused that a lot of your admin has fallen by the wayside. And there have been bills that have been unpaid. There has been insurance that has gone ghost on you, or that you needed to advocate for your patient around. Like, there's been so many messes to clean up. Have you ever tried to untangle jewelry? And it's just so in a knot. Like, this is the sort of astrology around like putting it down. You know, we could stress ourselves out trying to untangle and make everything right, but you have to acknowledge, is this the best usage of my time and energy now? You could have a sunken cost fallacy. Well, I put so much effort into building this, even though it's not aligned, I don't want to admit to myself that that time was a waste. Or I spent so much money on this jewelry, I'm going to stress myself out and try to untangle it until I get it all back. Again, I think we should take good care of our jewelry, but it's just acknowledging the tangles of our life, the messes of our life, and where we can be stressing ourselves out, trying to control, trying to do better, trying to make things perfect, rather than just recognizing it's time to let it go. It's time to put this jewelry clump down. It's time to just even acknowledge what it would look like to release this if this is in alignment with our path. Again, the naturopath clinic, it served you and it served so many of your patients for so many years, but you're recognizing you are being pulled in a different direction and the signs are getting louder. The building that you rent for your practice, you just got a rent renewal notice that your landlord is raising the rent $1,000. And one of the few insurances that you take that a majority of your patients utilize just dropped you as a client. Like, the universe is getting louder and louder, and it's mirroring something that you already sensed around, I think my path here is done. And it's not to say that you are going to completely let go of all of your training and all of your education. It just may show up in a different form. And we came here to really experience life and to step into our purpose and calling. And sometimes when we cling to the last seasons of our life, purpose and calling, we block the flow of what may be our purpose and calling within the next season of our life, where yes, there's many patients who may have been very reliant on your effort and your holistic health knowledge, but that may take shape and form in a different way. You may have different patients that you're going to work with, different information that you're going to share. How can you let go of what you thought your life was going to be in order to surrender to what it is? And as you are acknowledging it's time for me to close this clinic, it's time for me to do something different, there's of course melancholic feelings around this. It's of course bittersweet. When you started this clinic, you had so many dreams, you had so many visions, many of which did come to pass, but other elements of it, you recognize this took so much from me, so much of my energy. It defined my identity. It took away from investing in the relationships and the partnerships within my life that really meant a lot for me. And I'm wanting to find balance there. And so this week's vibe check is really just that acknowledgement around, okay, universe, I see you, with the rent being raised, with the insurance dropping me, with most importantly, what's happening within of just my resistance and just not feeling as aligned to be doing this any longer. It's time to let go. It's time to recognize what is. It's time to let go of what I thought it was going to be. And it's time to surrender into the next season of my life with all of the grieving that entails, with all of the emotions that entails. It's time to let go and exhale. So it may not be a naturopath clinic, but there may be something that you are being asked to exhale at this time and to not fear that in between when the breath has been expelled and we have not yet taken a breath. Like, think of how naturally that in and out flow goes within our daily life. Think of how the sky reflects that, of the building and the waning of the moon. This is all a cycle. This is all a pattern. You do not need to feel like it's wrong or it's scary to let go. It's as natural as breathing, the release and the receiving. So we will go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. I just want to let you know that I am located in California. So all time zones that I mention are PDT, Pacific Daylight Time. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology forecast for Monday, September 15th. On Monday, September 15th, the moon is in Cancer all day long, which is the moon's domicile home turf. And adding to that, it's also Moon Day. So really helpful to tune into what nourishes you, what takes care of you. Yes, your physical vessel, as we talked about with juicing and walking and going outside within nature, but also what nourishes your soul. I want to remind you here that the collective's energy is very dense during eclipses. Again, not every eclipse is like, oh my gosh, my whole life is changing and I'm closing my naturopath clinic and I'm going through a breakup. But sometimes it is. And sometimes just even feeling that chaos and panic within the collective, even if it's not tied directly to you, can exhaust you, drain your energy, or just feel very thick and murky. And so it's really important to be on it with your cleansing your energy game and protecting your energy game. Baths with salt work wonders. I've been taking like a bath a day, and it's very warm here in San Diego, and I've been averaging a bath a day just because the collective's energy is so charged and heavy right now. Salt essentially bleaches you energetically, like sanitizes you energetically in terms of anything that you are carrying or you're holding on to. It's a great way to sanitize you because, like I said, not everything is yours. It's Virgo season. Get out in nature, hug a tree, have your feet touch the earth, breathe in nature air. This also resets us energetically. Again, when we're interacting with the world with electronics and people, it's also chaotic. It's also dense, but tuning into the perfection of nature helps to reset. And again, nature is a reminder of the perfection that exists, where again, it could seem like things are going wrong around this tree fell over and this predator is eating this prey, but you have to take a step back into the circle of life, and that every season leads to the next season. Every time a tree drops its leaves, it's bringing a new cycle to grow again. Like, there's a perfection in the rhythms and cycles. And sometimes just being in nature reminds you of that. It reminds you that you are part of nature. You have your cycles, you have your rhythms, you have your seasons. And there is a divine order of it. There is a perfection of it, even beyond what you can see at this particular moment in time. So please be taking care of yourself, eat nutritious food, move your body is another great one to dispel any funkiness that is happening right now. Eclipses are a little funky, okay? and people's vibe could be a little wacky, a little funky. I would also say on Monday, so we have Venus in Leo, sextile Mars in Libra. Do what lights you up. Do what it is that you are passionate about or what you love. This is another way to really protect your energies, protecting your joy, or prioritizing the things that put you into a joyful state. When you are low vibrational, when you are feeling hopeless, when you are feeling helpless, you do lower down your defenses a bit. And of course, feel your feelings, but it is important to work the muscle of inviting in joy, as well as building a life filled with things that you love, whether that is spending time with the people that you love, creating the art that you love, doing the activities that you love, going rollerblading if that is what you love. Like sometimes putting yourself into the environments and places that prompt joy can also be helpful in protecting your energy field. And noticing where passion is and noticing where it isn't. Both can be telling you something. Where within the vibe check, it's like you've always been passionate about this and you still are, but it's taking on a new shape and form. And there's other arenas of life that you are more passionate about. And you can't fake it. You can't fake what you're not feeling. There's other people you are wanting to connect with or partner with or collaborate with, or other clients that you are wanting to work with, other patients you are wanting to serve. And passion is energy. And sometimes you can feel that repelling energy when it's like, there's no passion here. And there's really nothing left for me to learn within this current iteration of my naturopathic business, within this clinic. Like, there's no more passion here. There's no more heart here. And that is something that people can sense and feel. And there is power in your passion. So even if you are working a job or you're something where you're like, Haley Comet, the passion is not there, feel where it does ignite. Feel where that does invigorate, because sometimes that can be helpful in moving you towards what you truly desire. Because it helps us not feel in the energy around the void or the nothingness, or thinking about the moment when you have a "we're closed" sign on the naturopath clinic and you are selling off the furniture and all of that. It's sad. Of course, there's emotions of it. But if you feel this energy of moving in directions that do excite you, and even just envisioning life after the clinic around, oh, I could do this. I would finally have energy to do this. I would have time to do this. It helps you not fear the in-between, because it's not empty. It's not void. There's other arenas of life that you are wanting to prioritize. There's other connections you're wanting to prioritize, other collaborations you're wanting to prioritize. And it's a sextile, which is a very soft flow of energy. It's an opportunity aspect. And so it's very subtle. But it's really important to tune into what is exciting you right now, what you want to create right now, even who is inspiring you right now with Venus in Leo, sextile Mars in Libra. We will say that working at this clinic, you've been listening to a lot of podcasts and watching a lot of YouTube videos of other holistic health practitioners in the space. And there's certain expanders for you, people who inspire you, whose very essence takes you out of your comfort zone in a sense, or pulls you to your edge, where of course you could be jealous around, oh, I wish I could do this, but I have this clinic, so I don't have the time to be able to do this and this. Or you could just see them as a reflection of what could be possible for you as well. Honor your expanders. You get to decide whether you're like, I'm jealous of this person, I'm bitter of this person, or this person is reflecting to me what is possible for me. And again, North Node and Pisces, no one can take from you the path that is ordained for you, or what is truly meant for you. No one can take that from you. So if I feel jealousy or bitterness looking at somebody else's path and what was aligned for them, that indicates I'm not flowing completely into my own path and tuning into my own purpose and my own calling. It's just important to tune into that, as well as really recognize which individuals inspire you or embody a different way of being or have a similar passion to you, but explore it in a different way. It's important to plug into that energy of creativity and possibility, because like I said, life is dense and we can notice what is decaying, what is falling away, what we are releasing, and think that that's all that there is. And it's important to really work the muscle of tuning into what excites you, what inspires you, knowing that there's possibility. You can view the new moon as a nothingness. You can view it as a blank canvas. And there are people out there who see opportunities around creation. And sometimes if we're not there, it helps to plug into people who do, or at least put you in a frame of mind around, what if I could do something similar? What if I could build something around what I love or what's lighting me up at this particular moment in time? On Tuesday, September 16th, we have 2 Chiron aspects today. Venus will trine Chiron at 3:11 a.m. PDT, and Mars in Libra will oppose Chiron just before 9 a.m. PDT. This is because Venus sextile Mars exacted yesterday. So now they're both conversing with Chiron. One planet, namely Venus, having a more harmonious conversation, and one planet, namely Mars, having a little bit more of a tense conversation. So let's unpack this. There are some bittersweet acknowledgements this week. All week, really. And Chiron energy is bittersweet. Think of how we refer to Chiron, the wounded healer. Bittersweet. How can something be bitter and sweet at the same time? Again, these are the questions that could be driving us a little bit crazy this Virgo season, because Virgo so wants to make sense of life and put things into boxes and make sense of it. And sometimes there's just the messiness, and Virgo season doesn't like a mess, right? Chiron is the wounded healer because within mythology, Chiron was a healer. Chiron was an astrologer, a mentor, a scholar, all of these things. But Chiron was never able to fully heal his own wounds, physical, emotional, psychological. Yes, Chiron was drawn to the information and the tools because of what Chiron had experienced, but it did not fully take the ache or the pain away. And that's not to be depressing or discouraging. It's absolutely worth it to invest energy and to advocate for our own mental, emotional, physical healing, psychological healing, to not repeat cycles, to be able to put the symbolic medicine balm in order to turn what used to be a bleeding wound into a faint scar. But Chiron energy is the recognition of the pain may subside, but the scar is still there. And sometimes there's just certain experiences that ping at it, that tender part of ourselves. And that recognition that even with all of the tools and all of the work that we do and all of the medicine that we take in, sometimes there just will be acknowledgements of what in this life hurts, where it is that we have been wounded, where it is that we have suffered within this experience. And this is, of course, reflected in this week's Vibe Check of the Week being a naturopath, right? Being a healer, and the reasons why you got into this industry. You wanted to help other individuals. You were exposed to the reality of traditional medicine, and so that made you even more inspired to be an advocate for getting this information into people's hands and for people to empower themselves within their own journey of healing. I think there's something to be said about that with Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign Aries, which is around individuality and self. That healers, whether that's doctors, therapists, spiritual practitioners, what have you, they cannot heal you all themselves. They can give you the tools to heal yourself. It takes your effort and initiative to seek out the material, to seek out the practitioners, to put guidance into practice. It really is an inside job, which I feel like Chiron and Aries is reminding us of. But we're not in it alone. There's a nudge around reminding ourselves that with Venus trine Chiron. When we vent to a friend, it doesn't take away from the sadness, the discomfort of what we are currently navigating, but it helps to recognize, oh, I'm not in this all alone, or we can relate on this particular way, or maybe they'll send some resources that will help me with this particular journey. Again, it does not take it away. Some things are just as they are. It sucks. It's uncomfortable, but I'm not alone in it. And that can show up in friendship, or even being able to seek out practitioners or therapists or acupuncturists or yoga studios, anywhere that is dedicated towards healing. And knowing that there are legitimate angels who work in these professions who will help walk you home or provide you with certain tools and resources in order to aid your own healing, truly. I'm a believer of angels on this planet, and I know that because I've been sent them. Truly, the individuals who came into my orbit at the time that I was really suffering, I'm so grateful for the support team that I had around me and just the angelic presences that were around me. Some of these angels that were sent to me were yoga instructors. Some were YouTubers that landed on my algorithm, or podcast hosts that I happened to stumble upon. Some were Reiki practitioners, tarot readers, friends. These are individuals who came into my world at a time that I really needed them. And it's not that it took the pain and the suffering away, but these were individuals who helped walk me home or gave me tools and resources in order to make it through that tunnel of pain and get to the other side. And it's knowing that these individuals likely were drawn into these industries and into these fields due to their own suffering, due to their own pain, and reaching for something, anything, in order to alleviate it or to be provided with the tools of it, and having their own healing support team called in, their own angels sent into their orbit. It's so beautiful to know that you are not alone in what you are moving through. So this could be a nudge if you are navigating something really hard. This could be a nudge around finding a support team or reaching out to initiate. Again, Chiron and Aries, sometimes we have to initiate the journey. The universe will bring in the angels, but we have to kind of take the first step around booking the yoga class or joining the support group or finding the practitioner, what have you. We have to initiate the process. But oftentimes we can be guided to other individuals who help us as we heal ourselves. But the scar will still somewhat remain. And taking it back to our naturopath example, it's like the reason you stepped into this industry is because you were so passionate about this topic and you wanted other individuals to have this information. You were so staunchly against the traditional conventional medical models, and you wanted to walk people towards different ways of viewing their health. And this idea of closing down your clinic, of course, it's a hit to the ego because it's like, well, I've always done this. I've always been this. But it's also, you feel the guilt around, what about these people who need me, who rely on me? And again, this is important for anybody who's in any sort of healing role. Chiron is in Aries. Healing is an inside job. Of course, we are here to uplift and support, but it's knowing that it's not all on you. You know, sometimes that's South Node Virgo out of balance, is feeling like we have to micromanage, control. And if it's not us, it will be no one. Even if it's not in alignment for our path, feeling like we have to keep going with something out of this misguided sense of responsibility. You have to trust that you provided your patrons the information, the resources, maybe even referring them to other individuals, and that it's not all on you, that this universe is big and vast and full of many different souls with many different callings, and you never know how things are being woven. And you don't need to carry this fear of letting people down or abandoning people who are in need of your support and your services. You have to trust, if it's not in alignment for you, you cannot be within that space and create aligned results. Like if you are not truly in alignment, how can you bring other people into alignment as well? To thine own self be true. And we have the biggest calling, biggest impact, biggest purpose when we are divinely aligned with our own path. And again, the mind will say, well, what if? And I've been seeing this person for years and years. To thine own self be true. You have to stay focused on your own path and to trust. That's where you could do the most good. That's where you can be of impact. Of course, support, guide, refer your patients. But no, my work here is done and I can feel good about the career that I've built here, the resources that I've given, and I don't need to stay stuck in a particular chapter out of a misguided sense of loyalty to the individuals that I served within it. Because how could I possibly create an environment of healing when I'm no longer meant to be here? And there are acknowledgments this week around feeling a bit powerless or feeling a bit helpless. You know, Mars in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries. I worked so hard and it didn't reap the rewards like I wanted it to. Or I'm feeling so drained. Mars is not dignified. I'm feeling so drained and exhausted. And that's something wrong with me. I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not working hard enough. Again, internalizing it. Making it a thing. You don't need to make it a thing. Just, it is what it is. Your energy tells you everything, truly. And of course, we will have aspects of our work and our responsibilities that we're not necessarily skipping every single day, but there's a difference between that and fundamentally feeling your body repelling what it is that you are doing, or fundamentally feeling so drained and depleted every time that you interact with somebody. Your energy tells you a lot. Don't gaslight yourself. Don't allow your mind to be louder. What is your body telling you? What is your energy telling you? And oftentimes we're like, well, I'm just lazy. I'm just not trying hard enough. What if you were to view your body like an intelligent computer and like to really honor the error code around, maybe my body is telling me this is no longer for me. This style of exercise is no longer for me. This gym is no longer for me. The style of eating is no longer for me. And rather than internalizing it and making it something wrong and bad that I did, let me just honor the data. And maybe even with Venus training Chiron, like I said, seeking support for where it is that you are suffering or hurting, or even being open to receive help or receive support, where maybe you're feeling out of balance and burdened and drained because you are carrying quite a bit. And maybe there's an opportunity to seek out support, to not feel as burdened with how much you are carrying, to ask for a favor, ask a friend for some time to just talk on the phone, to allow yourself to receive at this time. Just because you can do it all doesn't mean that you need to. You know, we all have different gifts and abilities in this lifetime, and that's designed beautifully so that we seek out one another. It's knowing that we have different gifts and abilities, and that's what helps us to connect one another. But we don't reach out and ask for that support around, oh, I'm no good at hair. Let me seek out someone who's good at hair. I'm no good at reading my chart. Let me seek out someone who can read my chart. We don't seek out that support if we are internalizing around, why am I not good at hair? Or why can I not read my chart? Like beating yourself up, again, holding yourself to this ideal of perfection that South Node in Virgo wants us to release. It's a big burden to feel like you have to be perfect. It's a lot more freeing to just be you. Even in your vulnerability, even in your recognition, this is not my strong suit. I'm deficient in this particular arena, and that's okay. Who made you feel you have to be perfect in order to be loved, even with Venus entering Virgo later on this week? What if you're beautiful just the way you are? Flaws and all, scars and all, with this Chiron energy. And so there can be a focus on healing today. Again, that could be showing up in very physical ways for some. With Mars opposite Chiron, you could be navigating some sort of pain of some sort. That could prompt you to seek certain connections, practitioners in order to alleviate that, or even just dealing with pain of the heart. You know, Venus and Leo training Chiron in Aries. Something can hurt, but it's right. That's the bittersweet part of this week. Like something could be the right decision, but that doesn't mean it won't hurt. It could be the right decision to let someone go, and that doesn't mean that you won't long for them every so often. Just knowing if you're healing from something or someone, it really does happen in waves. You have ups and downs, and this might be a day in which you're like, I don't know if I can do this. Mars opposite Chiron, I feel defeated. I feel like it's out of my hands. I feel like I tried to do everything that I can, and it still hurts, or it's still not working. It's still not improving, maybe not in the pace that I would want it to. There is a theme of acceptance this week around just accepting things as they are currently and releasing yourself from the burden of how you wanted them to be in order to embrace how they are. And things are constantly changing. And the more that you can accept and surrender this present moment, the more that you let this moment pass rather than clinging and fighting and forcing this moment to be something different. Exhale, let it be. And Tuesday really does have those ups and downs that we've been talking about. The moon's in Cancer all day long. It aligns with Jupiter in the morning time. So there can be this energy where you feel a sense of lightness. It does feel emotional with the moon-Jupiter alignment happening in Cancer. It kind of feels like the energy of like a happy cry or a strong emotion that catches you by surprise. And while there's elements of sadness tinged within, you almost welcome it because it's better than feeling numb. Right? It could be a welcome surprise to actually feel some sense of sadness or to actually let ourselves cry, especially if we've been feeling very apathetic, numb, and flatlined. There can almost be an energy around welcoming in whatever emotion is showing up, whether it is hope, inspiration, meaning, a sign, a synchronicity, or even sadness, something bittersweet. It's good and it's bad at the same time. And the moon aspects reflect the story that we've been talking about where it hurts, but it's okay. It's bitter, but it's sweet. It's a letting go, but it's a new beginning. The moon's in Cancer all day long, starting the day by aligning with Jupiter in Cancer. And this is an emotional overflow. So yes, for some, you could be feeling this sense of inspiration. You could be feeling this sense of optimism. For some, you could be feeling a wave of sadness. And again, sometimes those moments of feeling sad, feeling lost, sometimes those are the very conditions that push us to reach for new tools or even invite in new connections or practitioners into our world, into our orbit. I even feel for some, if you've been moving through a season of life in which you've felt very numb, very flatlined, very detached, very apathetic, there could just be an energy of a welcome burst of emotion where it's like, yes, I'm crying and I'm sad, but at least the energy is moving. Like I prefer this rather than just feeling utterly numb and removed from my environment. At least it gives some color into my experience. And while Moon's alignment to Jupiter can be optimistic and meaningful, the Cancer Moon will square Chiron and Mars in the afternoon. So there can be this energy around hurting, feeling the depth of something, feeling the missing of something, feeling the void of something, feeling like things should be different than they are. Again, Virgo energy is the doer. So it wants to do the things. It wants to fix the problem. It wants to make a list and cross it off. And it wants it to work out if it does all the things on the list. Sometimes there's just this acknowledgement of, yes, feeling powerless because it's like, I did all of the things. I put in the effort and it still didn't come to pass. And again, Cancer Moon squaring Chiron, internalizing it, feeling like it's a you problem, something that you did wrong or a way that you are bad or inherently wrong, something like this. And it's important not to look to past versions of yourself for guidance or to think that the best years are behind you, the best opportunities are behind you. You wasted your time. Again, even thinking back to that initial vision of starting the naturopath clinic, the very first day that you entered and thinking, God, I had so many dreams and hopes around how things could go. You had all this enthusiasm around what I was creating. And with the energy of Cancer, we could think, if only I did this in the past, but you did what you did. It is what it is. And again, if we were to alter one thing in our path, it would likely offset and alter many other things in our path as well. I saw multiple butterflies flutter by as I was setting up for this video, which of course can be representative of the transformation, the metamorphosis that all of us are going through. But it also reminds me of like the butterfly effect, where little deviations and differences can build and morph and lead to major shifts within our life. And so if you didn't do what you did then, you wouldn't be where it is that you are now. And even if there's parts of you where you're like, I don't like where I am now, there's an energy of surrender around, I'm accepting where I am now, I'm surrendering to where I am now. And that's the best way to call back my power right now, because there's no power in the past. Do not look back and think shoulda, woulda, coulda. Call back your energy into this present moment. And this is reflected by the Cancer Moon sextile Virgo Sun. So if you feel yourself going down the woulda, shoulda, coulda, if only, draw yourself back. There's no more information for you to gain from a past version of yourself. Now is time to be looking forward, because sometimes that helps us in moving through the tunnel of pain or moving through a letting go or release. You would not be so sad to let this go if you knew fully what was ahead, if you knew fully what you were stepping into. So it's also important to continue to build the vision of where you are going or what you are excited to move towards, and to do whatever possible right here and now in order to move yourself in that direction. Where yes, you could sit here and ruminate around what would my life be like if I had never opened the doors of my naturopath clinic, or if I had never been screwed over by that insurance carrier, battling these battles that have already been played out right in the past and wasting your energy going there and then internalizing it and feeling bad about yourself. Reclaim your energy around what's one thing I can do to move myself in a new direction. And sometimes that's around, okay, let me solve this one problem that I'm dealing with at work. Let me call this one insurance carrier that I've been putting off. You know, Tuesday's Mars Day. I typically bucket the tasks I don't want to do on Tuesday to give that Mars oomph. push and to not listen to yourself. If you're like, I can't do this, I feel powerless, that's just Mars opposite Chiron talking. That's not you. And even if that stuff feels overwhelming, do something to shift the energy. Let me clean my home. Let me dust something. Let me move my body. Let me do one thing that sets my trajectory towards my future self, or things that my future self will be proud of. And this is reflected by the Cancer moon also trining Mercury in Virgo and trining Saturn in Pisces. The moon will then enter Leo at 10:20 p.m., which is a shift around less nostalgic energy, less fluctuations of our emotions, and more of a focus around creativity, leadership. I will just highlight here that the moon is in its waning crescent moon phase, balsamic moon phase, which draws our awareness to our heart space and our self-expression. On Wednesday, September 17th, we have now entered the Mercury portion of our week. We have a lot of Mercury aspects midweek, which can show up around a lot of conversations, a lot of ideas. I would really encourage you to write down the ideas that are coming up right now, the conversations that you are having right now. If they happen between and around eclipses, they are typically quite significant, even if we can't see that right now. And if we even think back to traditional understanding of eclipses, which of course does not fully relate to our modern day lives, but in some traditions, it was considered that eclipses were the time that the gods were able to interfere with our mortal lives, taking things away that are no longer for us and bringing us things that are aligned to our destiny. And sometimes it shows up in big life events, and sometimes it just shows up around random ideas that are dropping in that can be very powerful for your next beginning. So we'll say within the vibe check, it's like you are contemplating and acknowledging, the numbers of this clinic aren't making sense to me anymore. My heart isn't in this anymore. I am feeling passionate around these other arenas of holistic health that I want to step more into. And an idea pops in. An idea lands. And right now it's just an idea, but you never know how that will snowball and grow. And my personal perspective on it is that the ideas that come in during and around eclipses can be very powerful as it relates to the next season of your life. But it's knowing that just as the seasons pass and inhales and exhales occur, we can't invite in the new unless we release the old. We can't have new things in our life that are expansive and aligned if we don't acknowledge what is not working. And that's reflected within today's aspect. Mercury in Virgo will oppose Saturn in Pisces. Keep in mind, Saturn Pisces is hovered at the 29th degree. And so there could be a need to have a difficult conversation or to look at something that has been quite layered and stacked. This is not a new thought. We'll say the idea that you want to close down your clinic, your office. It's not new. You snoozed it quite a few times. Oftentimes we do that around, no, I couldn't possibly, but it's not a new thought. Just being in that moment around having to face the harsh reality of the numbers are not making sense and the insurances are going in a different direction and the rent is being raised. That can be uncomfortable to look at, but that data can also free you to move towards this new beginning. Some of you may be avoiding looking at something. Saturn Pisces has been big for the avoidance, for the escapist, all of that, around knowing what you avoid, what you ignore is still real. It's not this energy around, if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. If I don't look at the rent renewal, it doesn't exist. If I don't look at these letters from these insurance carriers, it doesn't exist. Like Mercury and Virgo opposing Saturn and Pisces may be a nudge for some. If there's certain mail that you've been pushing aside, an email that you've been dreading to send, a conversation you have not wanted to have, there could be an energy around, I've got to do it. I need to face this data in order to make an informed decision forward. Because sometimes we stress ourselves out wanting to make the perfect decision or wanting to know what exactly is going to happen when I close down the clinic. And sometimes that keeps us in the in-between or in the analysis paralysis or in the overwhelm around not knowing exactly what it's going to look like and feeling like we can't make a decision unless we've got all the steps all planned out. And of course, you should do the work in order to inform yourself and to be aware of the various details and components of something, but you cannot make the perfect decision. You can make the best decision with the information you have at your disposal, but you cannot make the perfect decision. You do not know what exactly the future will have in store, and you're going to stress yourself out trying. And Mercury opposite Saturn could displace the energy around wanting to load yourself up with as much information as possible, while also knowing that sometimes we learn from the detours. We learn from the deviations. You can have a plan or a vision of what you want your life to look like once you close down this office, once you close down this clinic. But there are certain experiences within this life that we only get from the doing. Trying to plan your life rather than live your life will keep you from where the universe is guiding you towards, which again, you could deem some of the detours as that was a mistake, that was a waste of time, but everything sets you up for where it is that you are going next. It's not so cut and dry. It's not as it seems. It's part of a much bigger story. Can you trust that? And can you take in the information that you have at your disposal right now in order to make the best decision, the most informed decision, not the perfect decision? And there also could be an energy around, if I don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And there could be an energy around, I have to voice this. I have to say this. I have to give this reality check. I have to break us out of this illusion. I have to be honest. I have to be clear here, which is an act of love. You know, honesty can really be an act of love. We don't do ourselves nor anyone else any favors by not talking about the hard things. And so there also could be something like that is showing up. And again, it's not being needlessly rude or cruel with your language. Some of you could experience this around people being very harsh or critical of you. But if there's something that you need to say, a conversation you need to have, this may be the prompt to do just that. You could have some negative communications come in at this time, an email that you're not enthused about. This in the vibe check would be the letter of the rent renewal and the letter from the insurance carrier. And it can just feel like bad news or something that makes you feel more stressed, anxious. You could feel like you're in a more pessimistic or negative mental space. Something that I've been dialed into around Saturn is that, yes, Saturn is the planet of reality, but sometimes Saturn could be so dialed into the reality that it's not the reality at all. Like, our lives is not just what is happening right now. It's just a slice of time. And so if you look at what is happening right now, you might deem it as the worst thing. Around, I'm closing my clinic. This is the worst thing. This was my identity. This was my baby. This is the worst thing. But it's important to really work the muscle to step back. It's bigger than just what you see right now. And really, this too shall pass. It's just important to keep in mind with these Saturn aspects. And the moon's in Leo all day long today, which with the moon in Leo, Venus is transiting its final degrees of Leo before it enters Virgo this week. And Leo energy asks, what does our heart say? And with the energy of Leo moon, honoring what your heart is in, but also what your heart is no longer in. Both are data. And sometimes data is not so pleasant to acknowledge. Sometimes we try to gaslight ourselves around, no, I still love this and I'm still really passionate about it. But it's like, yeah, the passion does not lie. Maybe I'm burnt out. Maybe I'm drained. Maybe my passions are taking me in a different direction. Maybe I have resentment of other arenas of my life that I deprived, prioritizing this. But it's important to honor the data of your heart. And know when you know, you know. You know, oftentimes we almost have to learn the hard way, where it's like our intuition tells us something, but we don't believe ourselves. We don't trust ourselves as the authority of the matter. And then we learn the hard way, where the individual we didn't want to hire because we got a bad vibe rips us off. And it's like, why did I not trust myself? Trust what is happening within and make it just as real as what is happening around you. You know, we have this eclipse on the South Node this weekend, and South Node is actually considered to be very spiritual. North Node, in many traditions, is considered a place of gain, and particularly like material gain is typically what it will be referred to as. And South Node is around release and like this knowledge that we really can't take it with us. Anything from this experience. And that, yes, we should be here. We should show up. We came here for a reason. We should stay here for a reason. But when it comes to going back to both our data, what our heart is in, what our heart is not in. And I mention what your heart is not in because we are in the waning crescent moon phase, which is concerned with shedding and release and letting go, the final touches. And this could be showing up around clearing, cleansing. You've heard me go on many a rant this Virgo season around the importance of cleaning your home. That's also a really great way to energetically protect yourself and cleanse yourself, especially if you feel mentally stuck or stagnant or blah. It could be helpful to clear some energy and release. And you could just feel that nudge. You also could really crave to be in your own energy. Like I said, the collective can be very dense during eclipse season. So it's also important to honor the guidance if you feel a nudge around wanting to withdraw, wanting to retreat, and wanting to do the things that make your heart happy, or the things that make you feel like you. Leo as a sign is associated with self-expression and creativity. And the Leo moon trining Neptune in Aries today, this happens at midnight, could be this energy around, in a dream world, what is the leader I want to be? What do I want to create? And envisioning that. If you could do anything that you wanted to in this world, what would that be? Oftentimes we're told as we get older, we need to let our dreams die. And maybe with Mercury opposite Saturn, there's a lot within you around, I have to get real. I have to face how things are versus how I wanted them to be. But it's important to remain a dreamer, to envision how things could be, to remember that you came here to be a creator, and to know what a courageous and bold act that is. And sometimes the very act of dreaming can help us with some uncomfortable realities, with some uncomfortable acknowledgments, whether that's closing down the clinic or other unpleasant news about this experience. It can be important to tune into what makes me feel like me, what are my dreams, what lights me up. The Leo moon also sextiles Uranus and Gemini. That can look something different. I know the naturopath version of me. What if there's another version of me? What if there's another side of me? Isn't that the purpose of being here, is to unlock the most you out of you? What if you are clinging to a certain identity and blocking yourself from the opportunity of meeting new sides of yourself and stepping into new components of your greatness? And the Leo moon does oppose Pluto in Aquarius also in the morning hours. So there could be some anxiety in the air when it comes to eclipse season, Mercury opposite Saturn. But this more so feels a little existential, a little bit like, what's the point? But the invitation is around, you create the point. This life is what you make it. And the Leo moon will oppose Pluto in Aquarius. That lands at 1:05 a.m. So you could feel some anxiety, obsession, rumination, especially with Mercury opposite Saturn building to exact around 11 a.m. You could wake up with an anxious belly. You could wake up feeling like a little nervous. Moon opposite Pluto can be a bit existential. It could be a bit like, what's the point? Again, this could even just be an energy for some where you get an email and you're kind of thrown emotionally into this energy around, my boss is never satisfied. Like, what's the point of even trying? Or you put in a lot of effort towards a certain video or TikTok and then it doesn't perform. And you're like, what's the point of even doing this? Again, the point is what you make it. Fall in love with the process of creating. You have to release the control of how it is received. That's at least the energy that I like to be in as it relates to creation. This week has been fascinating because, like I shared with you all last week, I am currently gearing up to go on a road trip across the USA. And so I'm pre-filming a lot of Magic Mondays, as well as Virgo solar eclipse forecast, which, by the way, is out on the channel. Check the link below. Yay. Shout out to Alex for helping me edit that. I was going to try to edit it myself, but editing plus road trip, just who knows how that would possibly go. But it is on the channel. But basically, I've just been in like this creative tunnel this week, just like filming every single day in order to batch enough content to be out on the road. And I've loved it. It's fun to come back to creating. I know it's time for me to really look at or shift my relationship to creating, whether that's on social media or otherwise, when I'm very attached to how it performs or how it's received. Because if any of you do social media, you know the analytics can really get you down. The comments can really get you down, where you feel misunderstood, and it can take away from the joy of creating. But due to lack of time, really, I've not been able to check on anything. I've just had to be creating, and it's so fun to just be in this space of creating and output and creating more than we consume, right? Whether that's taking in other people's viewpoints or tuning into analytics and how things are performing, that will take away from the joy of it, the heart of it. So maybe for some of you, you might get really locked into a certain project and just fall in love with the process of it, knowing that some things are out of our control. It may be misunderstood. There may be some more negative comments around it, may not perform. Like Mercury opposite Saturn could be all of that, but it's never a waste of time if you enjoyed the creation of it. That's why when it comes to how I do my YouTube videos and how I do anything that I do, really, there is an acknowledgement around there's things that I could do better to make it perform more, but it's not worth it to me if I'm not having fun. I get so many comments around, you talk too much about yourself, you talk too much in general. I'm like, if I don't make it fun, if I don't have a little beverage, if I don't tell a bad joke every so often, this cosmic corner of the internet is going to feel like a cosmic prison. I've got to make it fun. That's what makes it sustainable, is feeling like I am myself and I make it fun. So if some of you are trying to be perfect at something, I'm also seeing that as a storyline with Mercury in Virgo, opposite Saturn in Pisces. I've tried to do all the right things. I checked all of the boxes and still it's not enough. Still I'm getting criticized. There's a freedom in that, really, around, okay, I tried everything I could do. Let me just be myself then. So there also could be an acknowledgement of that. On Thursday, September 18th, at 3 a.m. PDT, Mercury, the planet of the mind, communication, intellect, enters balanced, fair, justice-oriented Libra. And this is a nudge to find balance within our mind. Again, there could have been uncomfortable acknowledgments, but there is this energy around it is what it is. I've maybe been obsessing and ruminating over this issue. I've sent letters to the landlord around, please take down the rent, something like this. But I have to put my mind towards other things or else I'm going to lose it altogether. So I need to balance the time that I've been obsessing over this issue with doing other things. Or I need to balance the time that I've spent in hermit mode with talking and connecting with other individuals, or I need to balance the time that I've spent working with the time that I need resting. Like there just could be an energy around wanting to bring ourselves back into balance. While Mercury opposite Saturn could have been uncomfortable, unpleasant acknowledgments, I do want to say not everything is what it seems right now, and that's important to keep in mind. And I say that because Mercury opposes Neptune in Aries. So when it comes to conversation and communication, there may be misunderstandings. Just because you say something does not mean someone hears you, and you are going to stress yourself out trying to ensure you are always understood. And that could be a trigger for some, feeling misunderstood, feeling like that's not what I said. That's what you heard, but that's not what I said. And we experience this a lot on social media or things like this, where you may have meant to convey this, but other people from their vantage point and what they projected it to mean heard something different. And you could waste all of your energy arguing and debating in the comments, but at a certain point you have to just be like, it is what it is. Like, people are going to hear what they want to hear or perceive me how they're going to perceive me. It is a fruitless task to try to control the narrative or to make sure that I am perceived in exactly the way that I want to be perceived. South Node in Virgo is coming for the control issues. It really is. But it's knowing when it comes to our interpersonal context and the people whose opinions really mean something to us, and feeling on the same page is important. It's important to know that sometimes our own insecurities or how we see ourselves can inhibit what we are hearing, where your partner could say something to you around, hey, you really shouldn't put your lemon water on the ground when you're meditating because I tripped over it. And while that's what's said, you could have heard, because you just felt defensive or raw, you could have heard you're lazy, bad, dumb, and wrong for putting your lemon water on the ground. Put it on a table, you barbarian. Which is not what was said. But again, we hear things not as they are, but as we are. That's so real with Neptune and Aries and just the themes of self-concept that this transit encapsulates. Where if I'm already being hard on myself and feeling like I'm not good in myself and beating myself up for other arenas of life, when I'm hearing somebody else telling me you did something wrong, it puts me on the defense because it's like another op. Meanwhile, the real op is in your own mind, and now you're fighting that via other people. Again, if you do create on social media, pay attention to the comments that trigger you, because oftentimes that says something around you, around what is triggering you and what makes you feel motivated to defend yourself. Or if your partner says something and you have a certain reaction, why did that incite me to such a regard? What is that here to tell me or show me? And so it's just knowing you could be taking things very personally, taking things very sensitively. Things could come across harsher than they were intended to be taken. You could say things that come across in a different lens than what you meant. And again, we could strive to be as clear and concise with our language as possible, and it still may be misconstrued. And again, Mercury in Libra is very other people oriented, so there can be a nudge at this transit around how can I communicate this to you? Like really knowing your audience, knowing your partner and what communication style works for them. Like there is an energy around tuning into the data of that particular person, but it's knowing that sometimes we think, oh, charm will work here, or flattery will work here, or a joke will work here, and it may not land the way that we intended it to land. There just could be some situations like that. I also want to say, to a mental level, you could be feeling like you are in your own world. You're in dreamland. You're a little disconnected from this reality. Again, maybe you faced an uncomfortable bill, you opened an uncomfortable letter yesterday, and then with Mercury opposite Neptune, it's like, I need to escape into my magical dreamland for a second. I need to escape into a movie. I need to escape into a hang with a friend. Libra energy does bring in connectivity energy. And Mercury trines Uranus and Pluto. So there's almost an energy around sometimes returning to our own little dreamland inspires new ideas. Sometimes venting to a friend helps us view things in a different lens or get us excited around where we're going. We'll say within the vibe check, it's like you are really taking it hard that this clinic is not working out and you're really kind of freaking out around what the next step of the journey will have in store. But just taking a moment to walk away from the messy desk, put down the tangled necklaces, call up a friend, go for a walk on the beach. Sometimes that's just the conditions to A, soothe your nervous system and give yourself a break, and B, to get in that space of creation, because you cannot find the solution when you are deeply woven with the problem. And so sometimes even just walking with a friend on the beach or grabbing a meal with someone and yes, acknowledging I'm walking away from the clinic, but also thinking, gosh, maybe we'll have time to do puzzles. Like maybe we'll finally have time to do our weekly hikes like we've been meaning to do. Or haven't you wanted to start a YouTube channel? Or haven't you wanted to do this? Envisioning what could be possible and brainstorming with others. Maybe somebody has an idea for you that inspires you to view something in a different way. Or even maybe this friend says, hey, remember when you got fired from the past clinic that you worked with and that's what pushed you into starting this clinic? You can always start again. For a lot of us, there could be really deep conversations happening today. Do you ever have like a randomly deep conversation with someone that you're like, how did we get here? Yesterday, I went to the Crystals and Cat Café in Oceanside to go play with cats. And one of the cats crawled in my purse. Is this meant to be my cat? Clearly, I can't have a cat right now because I'm going on my road trip. But please below if this is meant to be my cat. Like, hello. He literally jumped in my purse. But anyways, one of the individuals who worked there, we were having like a really deep conversation around astrology and tarot and all of the things. And I was just like playing with these cats, having this conversation with this near stranger around all of these esoteric concepts. And I was just like, where am I? What is life? And sometimes those deep conversations catch you by surprise. It can happen with a barista. It can happen with an acquaintance. And I would say if you are feeling very lost, very discouraged, Neptune energy can be like, what's real? And sometimes talking about it with someone or having someone there helps to ground and integrate the information and also get you into a different space and more creative space, viewing things differently. Like I said, we're all here to walk one another home or share information in order to support one another. And so with Thursday's astrology, I just want to say when the waning crescent moon phase, so you can be feeling a little bit more introspective, a little bit more drained, concerned with the release. Mercury opposite Neptune, you could be romanticizing, idealizing, lost in fantasy, sometimes positive fantasies. Maybe you had a steamy dream of some sort and you're like, oh, that was so dreamy. And sometimes negative fantasies around the worst case scenario. Important not to put too much energy there. It will lead to a lack of balance. So if you're like, I'm going to close the clinic and then I'm not going to have enough money to eat and then this and then that, that's where it's important to ground, have a conversation with a friend. That's also where it's helpful because then it can make you recognize that some of your thoughts are not logical. And Mercury's now an air sign. We're wanting logical thoughts, and those supportive, creative, resilient Mercury aspects happen in the evening time. So really great time to get some friends together, call up a friend, have a deeper conversation, read something, get yourself into a different frame of mind. Again, the mind that is intricately woven with the problem will not be able to find the solution. And a self-concept that is connected to your past will not be the version of you that will walk you towards your future. Sometimes you have to detach from your past and who you've been in order to step into who you are becoming. The moon's in Leo all day long. I want to highlight Venus enters Virgo tomorrow. So Venus is entering its fall. And this is the final day of Venus peregrine, which means neutral territory. And I would say live it up. With Venus in Leo, again, it's not that we're not having the harsh acknowledgments and reflections with Mercury opposite Saturn and that solar eclipse, but there could be an energy where it's like, I need a break. I need to have some fun. I need to create. I need to get out in nature. Because again, we never have brilliant creative ideas when we are there with our head in our hands at the desk, staring at our rent renewal letter. Walk away from the messy desk, walk away from the tangled necklaces. They will still be there when you come back, but you will be different because you want to be in a more joyful state, creative state, inspired state. On Friday, September 19th at 5:39 a.m. PDT, Venus, the planet of love, pleasure, leisure, will enter Virgo. And I adore that this transit begins in the wee morning hours. Mercury also ingressed into Virgo in the wee morning hours. And I feel like the wee morning hours are very Virgo time of day. And with Venus entering Virgo, there is a little bit of energy around, the party's over. The heyday of Venus and Leo around wanting to express ourselves via our style. And with Venus entering Virgo, there is a shift. And there is a particular potent pleasure that can be found in what you do and doing it well, but knowing that that's not all that you are. I do feel like there is an energy, not that everybody's closing down their naturopath clinic this week or closing up shop or anything like that, but finding a healthier relationship with it, because sometimes we find that we have a lack of balance, right? Name of the game right now, Mercury is in Libra, but sometimes we find that there's a lack of balance within our lives where it's like, my life has been so much around work and what I do that there's other elements of my life that I've not been able to prioritize. And I'm more than just my job. I'm more than just what I do. And sometimes we can find our value in what we do, which sometimes can make these endings even more challenging because it's like, well, if I'm not a naturopath, who am I? This is what made me worthy. This is where I felt loved. And it is a beautiful thing to be of service, but you are so much more than what you do. And North Node Pisces is around remembering that. And with the Venus in Virgo, this is an invitation to fall in love with what you do. Even if you're like Haley Comet, I'm not working my dream job, or I'm much like our protagonist, where there's elements of it that I feel like I'm repelling. With the Venus in Virgo, it's recognizing the purpose that is encapsulated in what you do. Again, you could be an angel for many people's lives. Even if you're not in a healing field. I mean, I have had individuals who've washed my car who have had a profound effect on me. Like, you never know the impact that you're making, even via showing up for these small daily acts. And Venus in Virgo is also falling in love with the care and keeping of you, around taking really delicious care of yourself, really attuning to the details around what feels good and what does not feel good. Maybe for you, what you're shedding during this Virgo solar eclipse is you've been overworking. You've been a workaholic, so much so that you're not listening to your body. Your sleep is disrupted. You are hermiting too much. I always think about Virgo being the hermit energy, because it's beautiful to be devoted to something. Now I'm seeing Eight of Pentacles with my mind's eye. It's beautiful to be there, like carving our pentacles and working towards something and falling in love with the process of it, being so present for the pentacles. But at a certain point, we have to get up, walk away from the pentacles, and connect with other humans, or recognize how escapism shows up in many different forms. Avoidance shows up in many different forms. With Saturn and Pisces, we've been talking about looking at themes such as drinking and substances and where it is that we're checking out from our reality that way. Overworking can also be a way that we do that. We can have an addictive relationship with anything, really, if we are using it to escape or numb or avoid. Where maybe there's elements of the overworking within your clinic where, yes, you love what you do, but you may have liked to not have to be emotionally available for love connections because your love was your work. Or you might have liked getting to have other people and their problems be the focus rather than your own. It's Virgo season, like work and find pleasure in what you do. There's nothing wrong with it, but just make sure that it is balanced and that you're not doing it to escape or avoid or numb, really, with this Virgo solar eclipse opposite Saturn. And when it comes to love, Venus is not dignified in Virgo. I want to acknowledge that I personally love it as a transit. I think it's a really lovely time to find the beauty that comes from order, to find the beauty of cleanliness, of hygiene can be a focus here, to find the beauty within our day-to-day, like beautifying the mundane aspects of our day-to-day. Again, our life is mostly Monday mornings and commutes to work and cups of coffee. Like, how can we find pleasure within it? And I think that's why Venus, the planet of love, is not dignified in Virgo, because when you're living with someone, because when it comes to romance, we idealize a bit, but love is not always glamorous, right? Sometimes love is when your partner has a tummy ache, or when your partner forgot to put away the food last night, or when you and your partner have had really busy work weeks. And it's like, how do we continue to show up for one another, even in the mundane aspects of life? How do we continue to show our love via the acts of service? That's a really beautiful exemplification of Venus and Virgo, that it's not necessarily a transit that's associated with the big displays around taking someone to a beach picnic and there's a million red candles that spell out, I am devoted to you. It's like the love that's around, oh, my partner got me the coffee creamer that I really like. Or, oh, my partner ordered me sunglasses because they saw that I broke mine. It's not so glamorous. We're certainly not calling up the people who make the movies to make a whole dramatic love affair centered around how your partner got you sunglasses because yours broke. But life is those little things, and it is beautiful to have someone who sees you within those little things. People who notice and observe, oh, you're out of coffee creamer, so I grabbed it for you. Or, oh, you're not feeling well, so I got you ingredients to make you chicken noodle soup. It's showing up for these small arenas of life and being of service, truly, to your partner, and however that shows up. I got your gas for you. I did your laundry for you because I love you. Those little actions can really say a lot. And for those of you who are dating or who are single, I have to be real. Venus in Virgo transit sometimes is an energy of getting the ick. I just have to keep it real, especially when Venus passes the South Node. You could be a little icked out from dating. You could go on a date and not like the way that the person choose. You could just be icked out from the dating apps or feeling like they are a waste of time. You could be a little bit more critical of the individuals that you are dating. And that's the case if you are in a serious relationship as well, that you could just be like, oh, it so bothers me when they do A, B, and C. It so bothers me when this happens. Again, the fairy tales didn't talk about this. When someone has a tummy ache or when someone's socks smell like that, like fairy tales didn't get into that. And I think that's why Venus exalts in Pisces, because that's the fairy tale, the happily ever after, the prince and princess ride off in a carriage. And Venus in Virgo is the life that happens after that. There's life after happily ever after. And it's not always so glamorous. It's not always so mystical. It's not always so magical. Sometimes your Prince Charming has smelly socks. Sometimes your Princess Charming has a bad day and complains a lot about it. That's kind of the energy of Venus in Virgo, but it's real. And it's important with Venus and Virgo to know that truly love and companionship and partnership and even friendship, it is how it is that we show up for these small arenas of life for one another, and knowing that everybody has flaws. So you just kind of have to pick the flaws that you're willing to deal with and honor what flaws you're not willing to deal with. And I want to say that because tomorrow we'll talk more about it, but with Venus and Virgo opposite Uranus and Gemini, I really feel that some individuals might just have a moment where it's like, yeah, I'm not dealing with someone whose socks smell like this for the rest of my life. Sorry. No, I know that we pick our flaws. I know that we pick our hard. No, I can't. Like some of you might reach a point like that, or you've been dating someone and you just clock the way that they chew or the way that they talk about a parent. And you're just like, yeah, nope, I'm out. Sometimes your icks are there to protect you. You get to pick what your icks are, what your deal breakers are. No one can do that for you. And no one can tell you that your reasons for leaving or staying are not valid. Like it's your journey. Other than that, the Leo moon will sextile Mars and Libra in the early hours. So if you are up, this could be a great time for a workout. The energy of Virgo likes to be productive and efficient. And it really is a balance. I want to say that because Yes, we have an eclipse on the south node, which is around surrender, release, and letting go. But with Venus and the sun in Virgo, there is a pleasure in taking care of yourself, in showing up for your work while also allowing the universe to do its work. Moving your body, getting out in nature, showing up for your tasks, showing up for your responsibilities, seeing where it is that you can find the beauty in it, find the gratitude of it. Check yourself if you find yourself complaining about something that you a couple years ago would have found as an immense blessing. Just remember that perspective is important. And it is a balance. Like, it's not saying that we just have to completely throw ourselves to the wind with North Node Pisces and just like abandon all of our responsibilities because we trust that the universe will carry us. It's around really showing up for your work while allowing the universe to do its work, and recognize for some where your work is no longer sustainable because the universe is doing its work to take you in a new direction. Whatever is happening within your life, allow the constant to be your meditation practice, your juicing, your nutrition, your movement, your tasks, your rituals, taking care of your animals, watering your plants, spending time with your children. Allow those things to anchor you and ground you. We cannot control everything in this experience, especially during eclipses. Show up for what you can control. The Leo moon aligns with Venus in Leo. So again, this is tuning into what can be grateful for about what I'm experiencing. What's the blessing here? What's the joy here? The moon enters Virgo at 5:23 a.m. So again, the sign of the solar eclipse, squaring off with Uranus. So Friday and Saturday definitely could have some shockwaves, surprising emotions, surprising occurrences. That really is the energy of eclipses. Expect the unexpected is the vibe. On Saturday, September 20th, 2025, we have Venus squaring off with Uranus in Gemini at 8:42 a.m. PDT. There may be some financial surprises around this time. You thought something was going to be this amount and you get a bill and it was actually this amount. You are getting a rent renewal and you thought it was going to be this much and it's actually this much. This is kind of one of those unpleasant acknowledgments around I owe how much, which is so not fair. You know, Venus in Virgo could really draw awareness to saving, budgeting for a rainy day, as well as just the fact that in this life, our money a lot of times can have to go to these boring aspects of maintenance around our dental care and insurance and business parts and all of that, which is not so fun. Which is why I also think Venus does not particularly like being in Virgo. But some of these might catch you by surprise with the square to Uranus. Some of you might just be a little bit rebellious around, I'm not paying that dental bill. Like, this is absurd. Like, I'm going to advocate for this. Like, please tell me why I was charged this much. Or again, your landlord tries to raise the rent and it's like, well, then I'm not re-signing. Like, there could be a little bit of rebellious energies also alive with Uranus energy. This could be showing up within love and partnership as well, around an ick, a frustration, an inconvenience prompting a fight, prompting something unexpected. Perhaps for some, this is meeting someone unexpected, having some sort of like gym crush is very Venus and Virgo. This can be an energy around someone unexpected coming into your field. I don't mean to be negative about the square to Uranus. I would say pay attention to who you are meeting, even casually at this time, because sometimes eclipses can be a bit fated and destined. But even my optimistic Pisces heart can't help but be a little bit more trepidatious around this Uranus aspect. Uranus technically can bring positive surprises or negative surprises. So sure, maybe some of us are actually going to find, oh, the dental bill wasn't as expensive as I thought it was. Or, oh, I actually had a way better month last month in terms of revenue than I expected. Or, oh, I actually got this quote and it's not as expensive as I thought it was going to be. Or, oh, I met this person and they're not typically who I go for, but I'm open to something new. Like, it can show up in a positive way, but Venus is not dignified. So inherently it's not sitting too pretty right now. And the sun opposes Saturn this evening, which sometimes can just be this energy of, restriction. You know, being a human is hard. This planet is a very dense place. And it's so funny because I was just ranting and raving, talking about how hard it can be to be human with sun opposite Saturn. And somewhere in there, my camera died. So case in point, sometimes humaning is hard. And we can acknowledge with North Node Pisces, I'm part of something bigger. My soul is connected to something ethereal and vast and without limits, while also acknowledging this soul is trapped within this physical vessel that has the limitations of physical existence. And I have all this stuff that I have to take care of and all these responsibilities. It is a lot. And Sun opposite Saturn, you could be feeling that, feeling the weight of that. And this could also show up around some individuals feeling very burnt out, and not even just burnt out in terms of your body. Soul burnout is real as well. Emotional burnout, where I have given so much to this. And of course, I really have loved showing up in this way, being of service with Venus and Virgo. I have loved the lives that I've gotten to impact. I love this particular purpose and calling, but it's exhausting. Sometimes it's draining. And it's important, no matter what your purpose or calling is, it's important to acknowledge the aspects of you that are outside of it. Where, of course, a lot of us will have a strong why or purpose within our work, but some of us, our purpose is within our families. Some of us, our purpose is within our neighborhood, our community. For some of us, our purpose is around awakening even our friends, sharing certain information. We all have a purpose. For some of us, our purpose is woven in with work, and sometimes that can cause you to lose yourself because you're like, it's so much bigger than me. I need to help all of the people. I need to save all of the people. And South Node Virgo is asking you to like drop the savior complex, right? We all have the power within ourselves to save ourselves. And yes, we are called upon to help one another out and walk one another home and share information and resources that can help other individuals. But don't feel like it's all on you. And really recognize, of course, maybe some of you are overworked, you are overburdened. A lot of people do depend on you, but sometimes we add to it because we feel like we need to do everything and do it all perfectly and go overboard, that it's not okay to just show up for your tasks and responsibilities. You have to give 175%. That can definitely lead to burnout, the standards that you expect from yourself. So there could be something that transpires on Saturday. Again, it could be related to finances or romantic, something unexpected with that Venus squaring Uranus. Some of you might want to do something new. I want to earn money in a new way. I want to be of service in a new way. This particular way is feeling hard. I'm feeling a lot of resistance here. Sometimes even dialing into that as you envision the future and you think about still being at the clinic, if that feels heavy, if it feels a little burdensome. Yes, maybe it feels comfortable because it's what you've always done, but it just is like, oh, versus envisioning, oh, what would it be like if I didn't have to be at the clinic? How would I spend my time? Certainly there's fear and trepidation, but I do feel this glimmer of excitement around it. And again, this was woven into the vibe check around the humbling energy of, oh, I'm closing my doors. Does that make me a failure? Does that make me not good enough? Again, if I found my value within work and service, am I not valuable? If I'm not of service to others, some individuals can have a gut punch like that, something humbling. You could be very hard on yourself, being very critical of yourself at this time. You could have had an unexpected bill, or you hired someone and they ended up scamming you or something like that. And you could be taking it very personally, internalizing it. I should have seen the red flags. I should have trusted myself around the red flags. I should have. Take the lesson and keep it moving would be my encouragement, as well as know that a new story is beginning. If it was a financial mistake, or even a romantic mistake, whatever it was, it's knowing that the more you beat yourself up about it, obsess about it, criticize yourself, think, I shouldn't have dated this person for all those years. I shouldn't have worked here for all those years. I shouldn't have invested so much within this particular person. Absolutely, there can be elements of oof in that. But don't waste more of your energy, more of your money. The more you beat yourself up about it, obsess about it, the more money you are feeding the situation, the more currency you are feeding the situation. You are giving it more and more power. The more you're like, I shouldn't have hired that person. You're basically depositing more bank accounts into that individual who ripped you off. They don't need any more of your energy. Same goes if someone's true colors were revealed. Listen, it's eclipse season. This is true colors revealed season, okay? And you could think, oh, I should have never given that person a chance. I should have left at the first red flag. And maybe that's a lesson around next time you see a red flag, you get an ick that you're like, this ick doesn't sit well with me. You will leave. So that's valuable. But also the more you're kicking yourself and beating yourself up around it, you're giving that person energy, and they don't deserve any more of your energy. It's just knowing what's done is done. And it might have been unpleasant. It might have been a gut punch. It might have been humbling, but it's over. And a new story is beginning with tomorrow's solar eclipse in Virgo. The money has been spent. The energy has been spent. The time has been spent. Don't give it more. It's over. And a new story is beginning with tomorrow's solar eclipse in Virgo. On Sunday, September 21st, we have the solar eclipse in Virgo landing at 12:54 p.m. PDT. And we have an entire video that takes you through everything you need to know around this Virgo solar eclipse. The 5 things you need to know around this Virgo solar eclipse. Had to break it down in a list format for this Virgo energy, as well as where it is landing within your chart. Make sure to check it out. That's much more of a deep dive. What I want to share here is firstly, this solar eclipse lands at 29 degrees Virgo. So that is the territory of your chart that will be impacted. That aforementioned video breaks down a tutorial around how to find that. But 29 degrees is a very loaded degree. It's a very final degree. Tomorrow, Libra season begins. A new season begins. The final degrees of a mutable season are always a little bit uncomfortable because there is a lot of transition. You know, that's what mutable signs are, transitioning us from one season to the next. Summer to fall if you're in the northern hemisphere, or winter to spring if you're in the southern hemisphere. There is this energy around things are shifting, and that's uncomfortable. It's a little awkward sometimes being within the in-between. And with this solar eclipse at the 29th, there could be an energy around this has been stewing. It's not the first time I've had this thought. It's not the first time this is cycled up, but potentially this will be the last time. And it's a new moon eclipse, so it is new starts, new beginnings. And the new starts are coming from release. The solar eclipse opposes Neptune. This is not what I envisioned. It opposes Saturn. I have to get real. I've invested energy here. I've put so much towards it. You know, the solar eclipse kind of feels like sunken cost fallacy, where it's like, well, I can't give up now. I've done this for years. Oh, you're going to do it for 10 more years? And sometimes we even do that around, oh, I want to go back to school, but it's going to take so long. And it's like, the time's going to go by anyway. How do you want to spend it? Do you want to spend it here? Do you want to delude yourself and convince yourself, if I only do more, if I only put in more, then finally I'll get what it is that I desire. I'll get what it is that I want. If you're on a path and it's derailing you from your soul and it's not feeling aligned, what makes you feel like the more that you muscle through the path and force and effort, one day it's just going to magically all align as you thought that it would? You know, it's humbling to admit we are in less control than we think that we are. No matter how good we are, how much we achieve, how much we know, you know, all these Virgo themes, we will be humbled by the universe. We just will. And sometimes our ego keeps us on paths because it's like, well, I can't turn around now. What will people say? Or I can't turn around now because how will people perceive me? I can't turn around now because I'll let these people down. It is your life. And we all hit snags in the road. I'm not saying everybody needs to just give up. This week, we have hard times in our marriage. We have hard times in our businesses. We have hard times in general. But there's a difference between being in a challenging season of life versus clinging, forcing, controlling, deluding yourself around, if I just try harder, if I just put in more. There could almost be an invitation around, let me try easy. Okay, universe, I tried my way. Show me your way. Show me if there's an easier way. And knowing that you deserve so much more than living in fantasy. This might be a reality check around, I'm living in fantasy. I feel like, well, as soon as this happens, as soon as the clinic does this, as soon as my schedule does this, then I'll be happy. Or as soon as this person comes back, as soon as this person starts treating me right, as soon as it's like a mirage, perpetually out of reach. Like if you're dehydrated in the desert and you envision a watering spring in the distance and just feeling like, well, if I could only get there, but it's like it's perpetually moving back. You have to clock that as it comes up and to observe with North Node Pisces where the universe is guiding you around, okay, I keep following this mirage. It doesn't seem like it's materializing. Universe, where can I go in order to nourish, in order to replenish my body? And the universe may guide you to somewhere unexpected, where it's like, you don't have to be dehydrated in the desert. We have this for you. If you are willing to try a different way and not force an effort, what if there's an easier way? What can you gain when you let go? These are some of the questions of this Virgo solar eclipse. And this is stirring currently. Sometimes with eclipses, it just feels intense. There could be a grieving. Honor, this is coming up for a reason. This is part of my new story, and that doesn't make it not a grieving. But it's important to know that life is the grieving and the receiving. And right now you might be in the grieving, but trust that this is creating space for the receiving. And the universe has got you. You know, it's a muscle to work to have faith. Saturn in Pisces. It's easy to have faith in the universe when everything's aligning. It's a lot harder when life is really trying you and testing you. I do want to make an announcement. If you are craving community around this eclipse and you happen to live in San Diego, like I do, I'm having an event actually on September 21st with the Monarch Soul, where you're having a back to school, back to the stars event, where it's basically celebrating the back to school season by studying the blueprint of our soul, our birth chart, and the roadmap of our gifts and challenges and lessons that our chart entails within it. And so if you come to the event, you'll not only get to be in community with other celestial soul seekers, but you will also get a reading from me. I would so love to meet you. I'll make sure to drop the link for that below. After the Virgo solar eclipse, the moon will enter Libra. This occurs at 2:41 p.m. and the Libra moon will oppose Neptune and Aries. This is woven into the solar eclipse story. Same goes with the Virgo moon opposing Saturn and Pisces earlier in the day, and then trines Uranus and Pluto as well. And so that's what's key to keep in mind, because even though this eclipse lands at 29 degrees, technically it is trining Uranus and Pluto, out of sign trine, but still a trine. And Uranus and Pluto is about resilience, beginning again. Uranus is around novelty. So it's knowing truly this ending is a new beginning. You might be closing down one era, but you are beginning the next. And it's important not to get too woven into what you are letting go, but to see where instead you can be excited around what you're inviting in. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I surrender to spirit. Spirit will humble you sometimes, actually many times. Being a human in this experience is humbling, quite humbling. And you could put in all of the effort and take all the right steps and have the perfect plan, and things will still go awry. And it just is what it is. But we make it so much harder on ourselves when we cling and force, and we do not listen to the universe around trying again, obsessing over, I've got to detangle these necklaces. If I just hike 3 more miles within the desert, then this illusion will materialize. Like, we can get stubborn about it. We can go about it as though we have something to prove to other people, to ourselves. If I let this go, if I surrender, does that make me a failure? If I let this go, if I surrender, does that mean I'm not worthy? If I let this go, if I surrender, does this mean I'm not good enough? And that could be coming up, with this season. I would really encourage you, where you can, release with the South Node Virgo, needing yourself to be perfect. You did not come into this experience making this promise to be a perfect human without flaws. Life is messy. We make mistakes, we get back up, and we get in the way of our own growth when we stay very rigid around our ego, around, I don't want people to know that I tried something and it didn't work out, or I don't want people to know that I've been in a relationship that does not align for me. Who are you doing it for, really? And with North Node Pisces, it's really around surrendering to what is for you. If you think about the house that you live in, where you're like, ooh, this is my house, or the relationship where it's like, ooh, this is my relationship, or the job, the business that you start that it's like, ooh, this was always destined to align for me. There's ease, there's flow. It just is. It just snaps into alignment and it's juicy. And trust me, you want the things that are for you, universally designed, universally ordained. And the best way to attract those things is letting go of what's not for you. So if something comes through, whether it's in a big way or a subtle way this week around, this is not for you, this is heavy, this is bringing more chaos and confusion into your world, this is not what you thought it was going to be, there might be an opportunity to try easy, to say, okay, universe, this was my plan. What's yours? Show me yours. I'm surrendered to your plan. So my loves, if you made it to the end of this week's episode, go ahead and drop below the carrot emoji as a shout out to my juice, as well as wrapping up very nutritious, efficient time of year, Virgo season. I feel like that flew by, but that's very eclipse season-esque eclipses tend to accelerate things and make them happen quite fast. So let me know if you've been feeling that as well. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. A reminder, this show is always available as a podcast as well. If you're ever driving, falling asleep, make sure to check it out on any podcast platform that you listen to. I will see you again next week, same time, same place. But until then, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.